Best of r/entitled parents episode 65. Okay, the Karen has returned. She lives in the same town as me sadly, and I had another encounter with the ferocious EM. I was in town with my friend after school and we went to get a milkshake. Friend, this is short but still. Why, at the milkshake place, EM and EK walk in. EM, oh no, it's that brat that still owes me a chocolate bar. What? EM, she stole my chocolate bar and claimed it was hers. Please arrest her. She didn't. Actually, she told me about the incident a few days ago. Stop trying to get sympathy and attention. It's stupid. Me, go away. Please. EM storms out of the shop. Okay, sorry this was short but have a good rest of your day I guess. Thank you. Next. This was back when I was 13. I was hanging around a village park in the middle of a summer day, literally just chatting and sitting on the grass, with a mixed gender group of around 6 other 13-year-olds. Seemingly out of nowhere this sweet little girl appeared, who we later found out to be 7 years old, and starts chatting to us about her pet dog and schoolwork and stuff. We were all completely confused and kept asking where her mother or father was, and she just kept saying I dunno. So, my dog. This little girl starts getting agitated and running about, trying to climb on trees and splash in the stream nearby, so we decided we had to do something before she got hurt. A couple of the guys and girls decided to distract her by playing tag, treating her with kindness and running around the field with her. She was giggling and having fun. Meanwhile, one of the boys, Sam, and me rang his mum, who lived very nearby, to ask what the fuck we should do with this abandoned child. Just as Sam's mum was coming up with a response, we hear this almighty screech from the other side of the park. It's the EM finally returning to collect her sprog. Get the fuck off my little girl you pervs. We froze. Like WTF. We're 13 and trying to play an innocent game with a lost kid in an open and public space, while we call an adult for help. This adult woman continues to chew us out, focusing on Sam particularly as he had a buff frame and looked far older than 13. She starts calling him all sorts of things disgusting, vile, inappropriate. Poor Sam was a sensitive guy and was almost in tears. She starts asking why we thought it was appropriate to play tag with and speak to a little girl, and we were just bemused. We were kids ourselves and just wanted to protect her from getting hurt. Looking back at the situation, I understand that we should have called the police immediately to protect us from lunatics like EM, but at the time, we were kids and didn't know what to do. Anyway, it turns out this woman lived on the other side of the park and had basically just let her kid wander out of the door, and it took her a good 10 minutes to even realize she was missing. TL. Dr. 13-year-old me and friends speak to abandoned child. Mother turns up and calls us all sorts of unsavory things. Edit. Dumbus grammar error. Thank you. Next. For reference. Entitled kid. Entitled mother. Me. So, this happened the other day when I was at work. I came in early on Tuesday the other week to work to earn some extra cash to help toward my holiday with my family. We usually go on an annual holiday to Cornwall, but this year we're running a bit short on money. The story unraveled, much to my entertainment, around midday close to my lunch break. EK was playing inside an expensive shelving unit, while EM stood next to him talking on her phone talking to her friend. Probably entitled too. Inside the shelving unit however, it had large glass door, and had numerous kitchen utensils on display. As I sat at the counter waiting for my next customer, I witnessed the whole thing play out. EK proceeded to pick up a metal fork on the inside, and ram it into the wooden structure. By this point, I had already stood up and started my way toward them. Unfortunately however, with one turn, whacked the fork against the glass. With this, the 4,000-pound shelving unit door shattered to pieces, leaving entitled kid surrounded by shards of glass. EM stood frozen, her face white. What happened here then, ma'am? I proceeded to say. She instantly responded, despite her kid clearly being inside the shelving unit, it wasn't my kid. It was like that when we got here. Ma'am, I clearly watched your kid violently hitting the door with that fork that is conveniently laying beside him. Don't you dare say anything like that against my beautiful angel. By this point, I had already gathered the fact that I was clearly dealing with an entitled bitch here, and was bracing for the worst. My kid, just like you and me, is entitled to all the rights in this country. You have no. Thankfully my co-worker cut her off and shut her up for a bit. She and her entitled kid, who luckily had no major injuries, stood in bleak silence until the price struck her, a hefty £400 repair to the glass. By this point, she was already fuming. Her face was a bright red and her evil Karen finger was rising to my face. Don't you two dare harass me and my kid. We have already had a bad enough day as it is. We don't need even more harassment. Ma'am, if you don't pay the price, then we will have to contact the police. My co-worker informed. HFFFF she replied. See you in hell she shrieked. She briefly scribbled her husband's number on a piece of paper. He will pay she said and stormed out the shop. Unfortunately, I do not know what happened after this. The finance office do, and in my current position I would rather not ask. Thanks for reading my brief story of my very first experience with an entitled bitch. I hope it won't ever happen again. She is now banned from our store and the parking lot. Thank you. Next. Forgive me, I'm on mobile. This also just happened like 5 minutes ago. M. Mom W. Worker S. Sister me. This all happened in Target. Me and my sister have old iPhones and we were going to get upgrades. It was rough from the start. She was talking on the phone while the worker was trying to talk to her. She was complaining how she wouldn't get gift cards for getting the phones because the fine print said only new lines. We walk away, and my mom goes, well, let's see if they have the kinds you want anyway. We go back there, and this unfolds. Hi, we're back. I was wondering if you had the models they wanted. W. Which ones? S. The 11 black 128 GBW. And you? Me 11 white 128 GBW. I'm pretty sure we have those. I can go check if you'd like. M. No, that's okay. Do you have those models? W. I'm 80% sure we do. Then my mom just walks off. Me and my sister standing there, we look at the worker and raise our eyebrows. Surprised our mom acted like this. She walked ahead of my sister and I the entire time, and then said, M. He just lost a sale. He was so rude. Me and S. Oh what M. You don't treat people like that. Me and my sister are like what? But we don't say anything. 10 minutes later, S. Can we just go to Verizon instead? M. Silence. S. I'm okay. M. Number. It is too late right now for Verizon. It was 5:01 p.m. S. It's 5:01. M. I don't care. We are going home. It's been about 20 minutes since this unfolded, and it's been dead silence the entire time. TLDR. My mom acted like a Karen towards a Target employee and acted like she didn't do anything wrong. Thank you. Next. TL. Doctor, the title sums it up. I'd like to preface this by saying I do not condone the behavior of either party. I am just reporting. Also, this did not happen to me but a friend of mine when his son was little. This is the closest I've come to EP incident worth writing about. The scene. I little kid's dirt bike race. Approx 8-year-olds. Somewhere in the USA. The players. ED equals entitled dad. SL equals sore loser. Ed's kid. WD equals winner's dad. WK equals winning kid. WD's kid. WD, knowing WK's experience, and noting the size of the track, comes up with a plan. He instructs WK to keep his bike in second gear. His thought is that even though WK will slow down and lug on the turns, the gear should make up speed on the straightaways. The kids in this age group don't really have the chops to be changing gears on the fly and usually just keep it in first. Turns out WD was right. WK did as instructed and ended up winning the race by a wide margin. Now it turns out SL didn't like losing. Started bitching and moaning about losing to that kid, WK. Also, as it turns out, ED didn't like SL losing, even more than SL did. Since SL couldn't have lost and WK couldn't have won by that much, WK and WD must have cheated. ED went over in the pits to confront WD about how you cheated and that bike can't be stock. WK stepped up to defend his name, saying how they didn't cheat. ED, so wrapped up in his self-righteousness and anger, pushes WK out of the way, knocking him to the ground. Now it turns out WD didn't like ED pushing over WK. The way he described it to me was that he just saw red and proceeded to mop the floor with ED. Some other parents jumped in and separated the adults before it got too out of hand. But ED got his ass handed to him in the meantime. As far as I know, no legal trouble came out of it for either party. WD told me he doesn't remember ever having an anger issue like that before or since, but the sight of that fully grown adult pushing over his own child snapped something in him. Edit. Sorry, I tried to clean up one little thing on mobile and it got all messed up. I had to recreate the middle paragraph. Thank you. Next. Unrelated. So I'm using my Paperwhite to write this right now and it's horrendous. This story starts at a school. There's a math teacher at this particular school with a daughter here as well. She's a terrible teacher, but at least she gives a lot of extra credit. Could get up to about 130% if you were smart. Her daughter usually spends 3 hours in teacher's classroom and is pretty quiet, and less bragging, for the most part. About 3 months ago, I accidentally walk into the daughter. I'll just call her Abby. I wasn't watching where I was going and she fell because I'm about twice her weight. I mumble a quick sorry and rush away thinking that was the end of it. The next day in first period, math, teacher pulls me out of the classroom. She says she'll do what she can to kill my grade. Challenge. Fking. Accepted. She starts off by invalidating my extra credit. What I end up doing is taking all her copies. She keeps extras in the back of the room, filling one out, turn it in, and repeat. I imagine something like this gets annoying by the 50th time. She then tries not to give me the paper and give extras out by hand. I have other people copy it for me, then repeat. Then she gets a brilliant idea not to accept papers from me. Okay. I scan them with printer, into my computer, and have 3 bots email her until a reply. Our first test after the incident, she hasn't given study materials. This doesn't work, as Algebra 1 is easy, even as a 7th grader. Next quiz. She has me sit in the hall. I get those emails to keep emailing about a makeup quiz. At this point, she has given up. Last month, she asked Emmy to stop. All I have to say to her is, why did you try to destroy my grade? She can't respond. I don't know if she remembered or couldn't respond out of the sheer stupidity of that answer. I leave for my next class as she sputters like a broken sprinkler. I haven't had a problem with her since. And if you're wondering, she couldn't change my grade directly. She can only change it by 1% and she would have to go make a ton of fake assignments that I would get a 0 on. If she did this, I would have proof of her bullshit. Thank you. Next. This isn't going to be a super dramatic like most stories in this sub, but I thought it was pretty funny. I was at a theme park with my boyfriend for a Halloween event. We got there when it started and made a beeline for what we thought was going to be the most popular maze, hoping to get in line before it got too crowded. We got a great spot in line, probably only a 15-minute wait. We had a small group of preteen girls and a mother behind us. We had been standing there for maybe 5 minutes when I hear a whiny voice behind me say this is taking so long while loudly sighing. I heard one of the group shut them down, pointing out that they had barely been waiting. I thought it was nice to hear someone correcting their child for once. There was maybe 30 seconds of silence before I hear the same whiny voice. I hear 8 lines. Why should we wait? I'm so bored. I immediately heard the other person say no one likes lines. Everyone had to wait. Stop it, mom. My jaw dropped and I tried to stifle my laughter. Here I was assuming the whiner was a child, because what fucking adult whines like that? I was blown away that her own daughter had to parent her. Anticlimactic ending. We went into the maze a few minutes later and didn't see them the rest of the night. BF and I did do a whining imitation of her for the rest of the night though. Then everyone clapped. TLDR, I thought a child behind me was complaining about having to wait in line, when it was actually the mother. Daughter, shut that shit down. I laughed. End.